and yoga, mystic yoga, cha also, Maya, by me, Manavi, O daughter of Manu. Udirita described Yayo, of which two, Ekattarena, by either one, Eva, alone, Purusha, a person, Purusham, the supreme personality of the supreme person, Brajet, can achieve. Translation: My dear mother, O daughter of Manu, a devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of the Supreme Person simply by that devotional service. Purport: Herein, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapiladev perfectly explains that the mystic yoga system, considering consisting of 8 different kinds of yoga activities, has to be performed with the aim of coming to the perfectional stage of bhakti yoga. It is not acceptable for one to be satisfied simply by practicing the sitting postures and thinking himself complete. By meditation, one must attain the stage of devotional service. As previously described, a yogi is advised to meditate on the form of Lord Vishnu from point to point, from the ankles of the legs to the knees to the thighs to the chest to the neck, and this way gradually up to the face and to the ornaments. There is no question of impersonal meditation. When by meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in all detail, when by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in all detail, one comes to the point of pure love, that is the point of Bhakti Yoga. And at that point, he must actually render service to the Lord out of transcendental love. Anyone who practices yoga and comes to the point of devotional service can attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental abode. Here it is clearly stated Purusha Purusham Brajet. The Purusha, the living entity, goes to the Supreme Person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity are qualitatively one. Both are defined as Purusha. The quality of Purusha exists both in the Supreme Godhead and in the living entity. Purusha means enjoyer, and that spirit of enjoyment is present both in living entity and in the Supreme Lord. The difference is that the quantity of enjoyment is not equal. The living entity cannot experience the same quantity of enjoyment as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An analogy may be made with a rich man and a poor man. The propensity for enjoyment is present in both, but the poor man cannot enjoy in the same quantity as the rich man. When the poor man dovetails his desires with those of the rich man, however, and when there is cooperation between the poor man and the rich man, or between the big and the small man, then the enjoyment is shared equally. That is like Bhakti Yoga. Purusha Purusham Brajet. When the living entity enters into the kingdom of God and cooperates with the Supreme Lord by giving him enjoyment, he enjoys the same facility for the same amount of pleasure as the Supreme Personality of God. On the other hand, when the living entity wants to enjoy by imitating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his desire is called Maya, and it puts him in the material atmosphere. A living entity who wants to enjoy on his personal account and not cooperate with Supreme Lord is engaged in materialistic life. As soon as he dovetails his enjoyment with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is engaged in spiritual life. An example may be cited here. The different limbs of the body cannot enjoy life independently. They must cooperate with the whole body and supply food to the stomach. In doing so, all the different parts of the body enjoy equally in cooperation with the whole body. That is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bhed, simultaneously oneness and difference. The living entity cannot enjoy life in opposition to Supreme Lord. He has to dovetail his activities with the Lord by practicing Bhakti Yoga. It is said here that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead by either the yoga process or the Bhakti Yoga process. This indicates that factually there is no difference between yoga and Bhakti Yoga because the target of both is Vishnu. In the modern age, however, a yoga process has been manufactured which aims at something void and impersonal. Actually, yoga means meditation on the form of the Lord Vishnu. If the yoga practice is actually performed according to the standard direction, there is no difference between yoga and yoga. Do the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नितनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रीचैतन्यमनोविष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. First of all, my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. I seek your uh, blessing so that I can say something which adds value to this hour. So, seek blessing of His Grace Madhupati Prabhu for engaging me in this seva. We are reading the discussion between Mother Devahuti and Lord Kapila. And Lord Kapila is describing to his mother the devotional process. And here he's saying that the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of the Supreme Lord. In this way, no? If a devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way, so in this way is the uh, what is described in this particular chapter, that's what this is indicating. And what has been described is that um, there are few things which are there are two broad things which are so far described in this chapter. Uh, First is that how one can meditate on the Lord, how the devotional service is performed by uh, by meditating on the Lord and then in different modes of nature. And the second thing which is described is that how one perceives the Lord in every living entity. And and that is in sync with the second part, is in sync with what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Sunichaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Uh, One has to see the expansion of Lord, uh, presence of Lord in each and every living entity. And with that, one has to provide the respect, and one has to. It is called. It is said about Vaishnavas that Vaishnavas are para dukha dukhi. So we have to understand other situation. We have to look at uh, the presence of Lord in every living entity, and uh, and act accordingly. And at the same time, Lord Kapila has also described and will further expand on that in the remaining part of the chapters, that uh, this distinction also has to be made. So, two important things. One is the seeing the presence of Lord, or seeing the Lord, the Paramatma uh, portion of the Lord in everyone's heart. Even the soul is called as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Part and parcel means it's the part. That means it's Lord Himself who is residing in everyone. So, soul is soul in everyone's body is not different than Lord, because it is part and parcel of the Lord. It is said that uh, the sparks which are coming from the fire are fire. So, with that analogy, uh, because the soul is part and parcel of the Lord, it is nothing but Supreme Personality of Godhead. But as time and again it is also described that it is something which has to be understood in the context of quality and quantity. So when it comes to quality, then the soul and the super soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are same in terms of quality. Just like a drop of water from the ocean has the same quality as the ocean. The difference is of the quantity. Uh, and with that, we have to have this uh, similarity, or the presence of the Lord which has to be seen. But at the same time, this distinction also has to be made, that uh, what is the uh, body of the, or what is the consciousness, or what is the activities of this soul, or the embodied soul. For example, uh, you can give a embrace to a human being, you can give an embrace to a cow, but you cannot go and give an embrace to a tiger. All the sadhus who are, or the yogis who are dwelling in jungles, um, they are not associating with the tigers in the same way they associate with the other sadhus or other animals present in the jungle. They offer some food stuff outside, which is accepted by these other animals. So that distinction uh, has to be also made. Okay? But at the same time, uh, this presence of the Lord is also. When I was um, reading about this, I came across this wonderful story um, about this great devotee called Ranti Dev. Ranti Dev is in the lineage of Bharat Maharaj, the son of Dushyant. Uh, from him comes Bharadwaj, and from there, few generations later, this wonderful devotee comes Ranti Dev, who was not uh, endeavoring a lot for the maintenance of his body, will um, rely more on whatever the providence is giving, whatever it is coming his way. And he was a wonderful and great devotee. So one time, to take his test, uh, different demigods, what they devised was that Rantidev was having a fast for almost 45 days. And after 45 days of the fast, he received some foodstuff and the water and juices. And he prepared that and offered, and he was about to honor that Mahaprasad. And right when he was about to honor it, a Brahmana came who was hungry. So Rantidev, he divided his foodstuff. He shared his foodstuff with the Brahmana as well. And then uh, the remaining he was going to honor to along with his family members. Now he was just about to, when so we can understand, okay, Brahmana came, and then Atithi Devo Bhava, and that to a Brahmana. Yes, you honor, accept, and respect, and you share the uh, food stuff. You offer some prasad. After that, a Shudra came, and he was also hungry. And Rantidev, being a great devotee, he did not distinguish between a Brahmana and a Shudra, because he is Samadarshi. So he shared a portion of the foodstuff with the Shudra as well, and offered his respect. Shudra also being Atithi. Then after that, uh, when he was about to eat the remaining of the foodstuff, the prasad, another person came, and he was surrounded by dogs, and he and his dogs were hungry. And Rantidev offered even the uh, remaining foodstuff to the dog and his masters, and dog and their masters. And after that, the only thing which Rantidev was left with was water, and he was starving and thirsty for 45 days. And just when he was thinking that, okay, no more food stuff left, but at least I have water, let me quench my thirst with this water. And a Chandala came, who is the lowest of the born. And they are also sometimes called dog eaters. And he said that I am very thirsty. And now Rantidev had nothing but water left, and he offered his water also to this Chandala. And that's when all the demigods appeared and started praising him. And Rantidev's offered his prayers to these demigods and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he said that there's so much suffering in this world. And, oh Lord, if at all you want to offer me something, please let me suffer in this life, but please deliver all these other living entities from their suffering. And there is a very similar prayer which is offered by Vasudev Datta as well in Chaitanya Charitamrita to Mahaprabhu. And we can understand that how compassionate these devotees are, that they are ready to uh, suffer on behalf of uh, others. So they're exactly seeing the uh, presence of Lord in all these living entities, and uh, they are paradukha dukhi, and they are not, um, and they are ready to, they are actually empathizing with them, and they're ready to suffer on their behalf. And when and Lord Kapila is describing earlier in this that if somebody is so much engrossed in murti puja, in the service of the deity of the Lord, the statue of the Lord, but does not have compassion for the other living entities, if cannot see, but if is not worried about if they're hungry, then that person has no chance of achieving the uh, success in devotional life. One's heart has to become softened with the process of devotional service. Um, it it cannot be, it cannot become harder with the devotional service. We That's why we see that sometimes um, these yogis and Ashtanga yogis and the yogis who are um, engaged in various types of these eight processes of yoga system, because that yoga system is actually, it requires a lot of penance, it requires a lot of endurance, and that makes the heart of those yogis sometimes really hard. The heart is really uh, you know it's not melted easily, and that's not the right approach. A devotee is, here Srila Prabhupada also says, para dukha dukhi, that has to be there. And um, and then Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that the two processes which are actually described, one is the Ashtanga Yoga process, and the other one is the Bhakti Yoga process, actually is not different, those two, because the result of the two is same. The purpose of the two processes is same, uh, and that is to achieve the supreme personality of Godhead. That is to achieve the love of the supreme personality of God. That is to develop devotional service towards the supreme personality of Godhead. Uh, it's we can understand that, first of all, this modern yoga system is a yoga system which is not even, it cannot be called yoga, because the meaning of yoga, the Sanskrit term yoga, means is to uh, add or to combine. When I remember that when I was young and I studied um, in Hindi medium, was and then there the sum was called yoga. Like, there'll be like sometimes we call, okay, can you do this sum? So similarly in Hindi it's called, can you do this yoga? Uh, so yoga means is to connect or to combine, and to combine actually to with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no? To develop the love and devotion towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the current forms of yoga postures, which are uh, more aligned towards that, how you can keep your body fit, how you can uh, keep your senses stronger, so that you can have more and more enjoyment, sensual enjoyment. And that's not the right yoga, then we cannot even call it yoga. Huh? um, so the real yoga meaning is that uh, the process with which you develop love towards devotional service, love towards Supreme Personality of God. And in that process, we cannot actually exclude that it's all the other living entities. you know. That's why we see that in our Bhakti Yoga process, our Krishna consciousness is all inclusive. There is worship for the cows, there is worship for the plant like tulasi, there is respect towards environment, there is worship to mother nature in the form of river Ganga. There's respect towards ocean. Devotees, before entering the ocean, they do pranam to the ocean. Devotees, uh, entering before in a river, they do pranam to the river, because we see um, this in through the process of bhakti yoga, through the process of our shastra, we see the presence of Lord. So when Lord Kapila is describing here that uh, a devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this, he means both the things. One is that uh, one develops love for the God, love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, but at the same time is developing a softer heart towards the other living entities. So that's what I wanted to share. There is a minute left. Somebody have any quick comment, corrections, points want to share? Over to you, Madhukati Prabhu.
Okay, Hari Hari. Thank you very much. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
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 Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Ram Ram.
Hare. Shri Nrsingo, Jai Nrsingo, Jai Jai Nrsingo, Prahladesh, Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Vengam, Ugravira
Bhavira,
Mahamantam Sarvatomukam,
Sarvatomukha,
Nrsingham
Arjanam
Bhisham
Vishnam Bhadra,
Nam
Nitya Namani,
Nrsinga Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad
Jai,
Maharaj ki jai.
Vijay,
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Manchakalpataru,
Vancha Kalpataru Vasya Kripa Sindhu, Patitanam Pavane,
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo,
वैष्णविंद की जय,
Vijay,
भागवतम की जय, श्री
Vijay,
प्रभुपाद की जय,
Vijay,
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि
Hari Hari Hari. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Jai Krishna
Hari
Prabhuji.
Bol,
Thank you,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.